Hello, in my most recent video, which I'll link above, I demonstrated the use of a program called PassthroughForge, which allows for mixed reality as you see here. It allows you to blend the virtual world in the simulator with a physical cockpit. In this case, instead of a physical cockpit, I'm using a large 50-inch 4K TV with a touchscreen frame attached. Using a program called Air Manager, I can display a full-scale instrument panel, in this case for the TBM 930 on Microsoft Flight Simulator. I was using an older 43-inch TV with a touch frame attached that I had made several years ago in my previous video. And I mentioned I was about to undergo the transformation of a 50-inch 4K TV for a bigger and newer touchscreen monitor. A number of you out there asked that I do a video and discuss how that transformation takes place. And that's what this video is going to be all about. How you select the correct TV for use with the sim and for mounting the bezel containing the IR sensors. How to select that IR frame to make sure it's compatible with the TV. And finally, how to protect that screen from your greasy fingers and sharp fingernails. So stick around, and I think you'll find that it's surprisingly inexpensive and easy to convert a large-scale TV to a touchscreen. So welcome to my recently remodeled basement simulator, where I'm housing this new 50-inch TV. And you can see it's a fairly simple layout, and it takes a lot less space than my previous 3-monitor setup. Almost everything is housed on a single adjustable height desk, and the simple flight controls attached to the front of the desk. You can see the homemade mount that I made to attach the monitor to the desk using clamps to make sure that it's secure. The adjustable desk allows me to raise and lower the displayed panel to match the correct cutoff view angle as in the simulator for various aircraft. You'll note that the pilot seat and rudder pedals are mounted on a platform to raise it up off the floor because the lowest setting on the desk was still too high for several aircraft cockpits. I'm using 2 tray tables as a temporary position for keyboard, mouse, and an auxiliary monitor out of sight of the mixed reality view. The desk height controls have 3 presets and a manual readout to easily set it for various aircraft. Well, while I think flying in mixed reality is the ultimate use for a large touch screen TV, there may be a lot of other uses out there, including those who want to use it in the classroom or for other great applications. So let's look at how that conversion takes place and get you started if you would like to try to make such a conversion yourself. The touchscreens that most of us are familiar with on our iPhones, tablets, and small computer monitors use capacitive touch. While these screens offer some real advantages, they also would be quite heavy and expensive on a 50-inch monitor. A far cheaper alternative is to affix an infrared frame to the television. Here's how the frame works. The frame contains thousands of light-emitting diodes that transmit IR light parallel to the screen, both horizontally and vertically, and receivers on the opposite side that detect that light. When a finger penetrates that grid of light beams, the frame can associate that with a certain place on the screen below. Most modern touch frames are high precision, supported natively by the Windows operating system, and connect via a USB connection. My first attempt at such a touchscreen was made with a 43-inch TV that you may have seen in my previous video. I built this to test a touchscreen overhead panel for the Boeing 737 that I had created with Air Manager. In order to protect the screen, I placed a 3/16 sheet of acrylic over the entire screen, which created several problems. First, the acrylic had an annoying, distracting mirror-like appearance. And due to the weight of the acrylic, a mechanical system was required to mount the heavy frame and acrylic to the monitor. So let me share with you some of the main points that you need to know if you're going to undertake a project like this. One of the first and most important elements of this project is selecting the right TV. Now, I did a video quite a while ago, I'll link it above, that shows you the basics for selecting a TV in general for use with your simulator. And those things do apply, but I'm going to focus on the things that are different and unique when selecting a TV to build a do it yourself touch monitor. For my application, 4K is important because I'm sitting close to the monitor and I want detail in the instruments. Most larger TVs are now 4K, and you can always downsample to HD if you don't need it. As for refresh rate, in my case, instrument panels move slowly and 60 hertz is plenty good for the refresh rate. However, if you're going to be doing presentations with rapid, fast moving video, you may want to go to 120 hertz. The next area of consideration is something we seldom think about much when we buy a TV, and that is the bezel width and topography. Actually, the trends towards bezel-less TVs, which we love when building three monitor systems for our sim, actually are working against us in this case. Since the touch frame is flat, we need a flat surface to adhere the touch frame to. We also need a wide enough bezel so that the two-sided tape that usually is the way we attach the bezel has some area to get a secure attachment. Finally, we don't want the bezel to be too much higher than the screen so that the IR beams from the frame sitting on top of it are elevated so much higher than the screen that a finger reaching through any way except perpendicular to the screen might intercept the beams at a point different from what your target is on the screen. It took me a while to find the right TV, and the one I have has about a quarter-inch bezel flat all the way around and about a half-inch across the bottom, which is about the width of the touch frame. While there are some mechanical ways to make up for shortcomings, you'll be far better off if you find the right TV to start with. The next thing I suggest is that you test the TV with your VR headset to make sure there's not some kind of a scan incompatibility that would create strobing or something like that. If you can take your headset to the store and actually test it there, that's the best bet. But otherwise, be sure you have a liberal return policy so you can make sure that the TV is compatible with your setup. The final thing to consider is matching the IR frame and the TV size. You want the inside dimensions of the frame to match up pretty closely within a few millimeters with the inside dimensions of the TV frame. If you do that, there'll be no calibration. It'll be truly plug and play. There are ways to calibrate, but it's important that you have some contact area between the frame and the surface of the bezel on the TV. Obviously, when I put a piece of plexiglass over it, I had an unlimited flat surface to attach to. But there again, I don't suggest that due to the weight and the fact that there's some good ways to protect the TV surface that are easier and more cost effective. The IR touch frames are readily available and have become pretty much a generic item. Most of them that I see are from China. The prices have increased since 4 months ago when I purchased my last frame. The best offer 10-point multi-touch and have a resolution of 32K along both axes. They all receive power via the same USB cable that takes the data to the computer. So I think your main concern in selecting a touch frame is its physical size, how well it fits your TV, and how easily it can be affixed, how much contact area is available between the two surfaces to attach it to the TV. The final piece of the puzzle is how to protect the screen. I decided I wasn't going to go with a heavy piece of acrylic this time, but I chose a screen protection film that's applied directly to the screen itself. It's lighter, much less expensive, and it offers glare reduction. While there were many sources for these films, I chose this company PhotoDon because it offered a pretty complete solution. First, it offered an adhesive mount versus water mount The water mount is similar to what's used on window tinting in cars, and I just didn't think that was a good idea on electronics. Also, it offered various anti-glare levels. I selected the MXH, which is a medium glare reduction. I did learn that the more glare reduction, the more diffusing of the image. PhotoDon also offered custom cut, and many of the cheaper available films are pre-cut to standard sizes, which might not be exactly right for your TV. It also included a complete install kit with everything you needed to make a good installation of the protective film on your TV. You may be able to come up with a better way to protect the screen. All I know is I've only done this twice, and the first time I wasn't all that pleased with the results. I invite you to use your own innovation and judgment and let me know in the comments if you come up with a better solution. In my research, I saw a number of videos on installation of these films, and here are some of the things they said it would be good to have. One, a bright flashlight to shine along the screen to easily see the lint when you reduce the lights in the room. The Scotch Brite lint roller was a godsend to remove lint from the screen by rolling it as I was laying down the film. Painter's tape was useful to get the lint from around the edges where the roller wouldn't fit. They also suggested wiping the screen with a bounce dryer sheet to relieve some of the static electricity so that the lint and dust isn't attracted while you're doing the install. Finally, my research showed that this 3M double-sided tape, the 5925, it's a foam adhesive tape made for automotive use, and it was strongly recommended instead of the tape that comes with the frame itself. I strongly encourage you to consider that. It comes in various widths. There are lots of different kinds of tape. Be sure that you get the correct 5925. If you intend to install a protective film on the TV, you need to do that before installing the frame. There are two videos that I used for good reference, and I'll reference them both here. The first is by PhotoDon, the provider of the kit that I used, and they go through the complete process from start to finish, utilizing the products that they supplied. While they show this as a one-man operation, I strongly suggest you have someone help you handle this film while you're pressing it down and trying to squeeze the air bubbles out. Unless you're a perfectionist, it's not extremely hard. If you do leave a piece of lint or two under there, it won't really be noticeable once you turn on your TV. The second video, which I'll also link in the show notes, is a little more extreme. These guys are working in a white room, but they do have some very good ideas about how to go about this. And I got some ideas that I used along with the PhotoDon video to do a better job, I think. So I'm not going to rehash what they have covered well in these videos, but do refer to it if you intend to try a do-it-yourself touchscreen monitor. So now that the screen is protected and we have all the necessary components, how do we actually affix the IR frame to the TV? Well, as we said earlier, we use this high-strength, double-sided 3M tape to physically tape the frame to the TV bezel. This tape is extremely strong. It's used to attach trim pieces to the outside of automobiles. And for that reason, we need to be sure we have the frame aligned correctly before we actually attach it with the tape, because it doesn't come off easily. The first step is to place the TV on a table at a good working height. I suggest dry fitting the frame to the TV to make sure everything is sized correctly before you actually start applying the tape. Then apply the tape to all surfaces where contact can be made with the bezel from the IR frame. Leaving the red top protective layer on the tape will preclude accidentally taping the bezel in an improper position before you're ready. Then position the IR frame on top of the TV and align it in the proper position. Then place some spacer objects to raise the frame above the red tape by about a half an inch. In my case, I used ballpoint pens, which probably weren't the best choice, but they were available. Again, the goal is to keep the frame from accidentally contacting the tape once the red protection is removed. The next step is holding the frame on the bottom half. Remove the spacers on the bottom half of the frame. Then, while holding the frame at the bottom, remove the red tape on the bottom and halfway up the sides. Then, after rechecking alignment, and it doesn't hurt to have a second person help at this point, you have to commit by pressing the bottom part of the frame to the bezel. Press all along the edge, and it should stay pretty secure while you move to the next step, in which you will remove the spacers on the other half, remove the remaining red protection layer, and then commit by pushing the top edge down. Then it's just a matter of going around the frame and making sure there's firm pressure applied to make sure the tape is sticking all the way around. The final step is to apply some continuous pressure by placing some heavy objects around the frame. In my case, because I only had a 1/4 inch of tape along the sides and top of the frame, I elected to carefully turn this over before putting the weight on so that I could apply a bead of clear silicone caulk around the frame of the TV and the overhang of the IR bezel. That step may have been unnecessary, but it made me feel better because the bezel sticks out beyond the TV. Well, so far I'm really happy with the way this turned out. Using this 50-inch screen, I can get bigger virtual cockpits on there, full scale, and enjoying using this. I would add a couple things about the project if you are going to undertake it. If the frame doesn't very closely match the TV area, there is a calibration method in Windows that allows you to remap the touch frame to the actual screen by touching a number of points on the screen. If you have a question about that, you can notify me and I'll try to get you the information. But normally it'll work just fine if there's 3 or 4 millimeters difference between the screen and the dimensions, inside dimensions of the frame. Hope this has been useful, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I love your comments. Please like, subscribe, share with your friends. Click the notification bell if you'd like to stay in the loop. I'm going to be doing more on PassthroughForge and this mixed reality. I'm sold that it is the future for flight training. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a nice day.